Hello, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to Introduction to Business Organization. Today we're going to be starting Chapter D or Chapter 24, depending on what version of the book you have. You're either taking me on an online class or a face-to-face class at a community college. I teach both at, if you're up in Lake County, you're taking me to College Lake County. If you're in northern part of Cook County in Illinois, you're taking me to Harper College. Look me up if you just happen to find this YouTube. And remember, this is a summarization. We already discussed this in our lectures or our discussion board. You've already been utilizing the interactive software provided by the publisher. You've read the book. We had thorough discussions. This is part of your feasibility plan that you'll be building as a team for collaborative learning or team building out of this course. So the way I like to start this one off is, the next chapter going forward will be your accounting, your finance, your banking, your investments, and I forgot usually personal finances at the end. I like to bring personal finance at the beginning. So if you have a good understanding of your own personal finance, your checking, your how you pay your bills, some of your retirement plans you may have, or maybe considering you purchasing insurance. Those are all functions of a financial manager. So if you understand your own, chief financial manager of your home. So if you understand your own personal finances, when we go into the business aspects, the accounting, the finance, and investment portion, it'll make more sense to you because you have a good foundation, and now you're just building. Because in business, you just have more functionalities, more money, more expenses, more capital gains, more investments. A lot more things going on running a business, but still, it's similar to running a home operation, only on a very, very smaller scale. Okay, so we'll start off on this, and this will be a good, solid foundation. And for those of you who are my baby boomers, so you understand a lot of your finances, it'll be a good refresher. And for those of you who are just graduating out of high school, or you're a freshman or a sophomore, since you're at a community college, or you're just taking this class as because you're going into business for your MBA, and you needed this as an elective, and this is class basically as elective. It gives you a good, solid foundation of how all the parts fit. So let's go into your personal finances. Let's look about some major. Remember, you already have access to my concept maps, and you always have them to the first or second tier. I'm going to open this up now to, let's see, we got 125. Let me open this up to maybe like 200, and maybe 250. I'll try 300. All right, remember you can follow along. And what happens, we already discussed this, so what you'll be doing now is looking what you've missed, or as a reminder, if there was something that wasn't clear enough. Okay, so for personal finance, just like in a business, I have to make some investments. I had to buy a car. I'm going to buy a house, or I'm going to move out. I got to put some down payment, or I want some credit. I want to fly. I want to buy some investments. I want to buy some stocks for my own personal use, for another business. So how do I do this? I ask people who know it. I ask people who I can see financially are stable. Look, if they're driving a raggedy car and barely have money in their pocket, that will not be my personal advice. Would not be the person I would talk to for personal advice. But a lot of people you look at, friends or family. You have some people that are very thrifty and have money and have a lot of not only wealth, but have, they're very secure. They have a good cash flow and good plan going forward to grow as their needs grow, as as things change in their lives. Okay, so you got a financial planner. A financial planner focuses more on spending, tells you how to cut your expenses, just like you would in business. Remember, you can't raise your rates because your competitors are there. Your customers may leave you, so you have to look at the expense sides, and that's where managerial accounting comes in. Managerial accounting is strictly looking at the expense sides. That's where the money's at. They know how to reduce the expenses. Now, look, I can reduce the expenses, and let's say I'm still making a profit, but I want to make more profit. I could reduce the expenses, so now I could have a larger profit margin. I could give more back to the stakeholders or the shareholders or me to as an owner as profit, or I could reduce my prices and get more customers, more clientele coming in. Okay, brokers and bankers and attorneys and insurance agents are all financial planners now. Okay, now personal finance, 6 control steps. What you should know to control your personal finance, and I sometimes, we all slip. Yes, Dr. George slips also. You know what I mean? Dr. George got student loans he has to pay back. There's a lot of things, but the economy happened. A lot of things happen. But that happens in business. Come on. Okay, so now let's go forward. Let's come up with a plan to start paying this off. So that's why he had to sign up for Dr. George's other classes, so he could always take care of his financial needs, just like you would do. Remember, I am a business person, so financially I'll take care of the business, the operation, but then I'm also an individual. I pay taxes, I have my own financial understanding, so you utilize what you've learned at home, the same thing you carried over to finance, to your company or to your department as a department head or a team leader when you got to do your budget. So take an inventory of your financial assets. What do you really have? How much do you own? Keep track of all your expenses. Look, if you're going through a divorce, I'm going to try to tell you to go to a divorce. They basically want to find out every penny you do. Or if you're doing a will, and at a certain age you want to do a will in case something would happen. Look, you're gone anyway. But it's a will for your loved ones or anything else that there's no fighting, so they're financially set, especially if you got kids or a loved one that you want to take care of. Okay, so keep track of all your expenses. Prepare a budget. And a lot of times now we're paying by debit card and everything else, so you can almost see where you're spending. Usually when you're spending by cash, you're spending out, you forgot what you're spending. Now everyone's doing debit card or even a credit card. There's no charge on there, depending on your credit card. So you could have a good idea where your money's going. And now you prepare a budget. And most of us do. You got the school, you got the bills, you got the car payments. You put so much money aside to pay your regular bills. What's left over may be for fun, going out, or maybe what we call discretionary income or disposable income that you could spend on other products. Hopefully, the business that you're coming right now, you're spending on school and textbook. When you finish, you'll have a higher probability to get a higher job, a promotion, and everything else. So that will be an advantage to you. So you have more money to spend, more money to stimulate the economy. You could pay off your debts and try to pay off your debts. Look, if you got some extra cash, it's always nice to keep some money for yourself and have a good time. But keep some of the money to pay off your high interest debt. Don't put the money into a 2% savings account and you got 16, 18% charge card debt. Pay off the debt, reduce that off, get rid of it, because you're saving money in the long run. Otherwise, that money in your savings will just eat up. You should have something like a safety net. You said a safety net when you look at personal about 6 months. Come on, I know 6 months is a lot. Even me, I might have a safety net maybe for a month or 2 months. God willing, He takes care of us. But you should have about 6 months. So if something would happen, you could get yourself on your feet or do something within a 6 month period. And usually that's a good. That's just a rule of thumb. That's something to think about. You'll start savings a plan. So start putting some money away. I don't have much. So if you get a raise for like say $20 or $30 a week, put $10 away into a 401k or investment, or put $5 away to a savings account, so you could have like a door for a vacation or something else. So split it up, but one thing in the savings, so you have something in case something would happen. Borrow only to pay assets that increase in value. Don't try to use your charge card to take friends out and have lunch and everything else, unless it's a business or interview and you need something to get that next job. Mostly because otherwise you're not making any money on that. If you're buying something that education is a way of increasing your assets. So you take a loan out to education. Eventually education will be important, and a lot of people will be out of that thing because the cost will be up there. Even though Obama or some of the next presidents are talking about the future president of giving the community college to everyone free. Remember, there's nothing free, even the taxes. I mean, the taxes would be up higher for everyone else. Okay? No way around that. I'm in the same kind of boat most of you are. Okay, now cash flow plan. Because the economy came down, whatever happened, you lost your job, or they're downsizing, you lost class, whatever, things happen. Now it's time to picking up, look forward, look for the things. How do I maneuver? If you got to learn how to maneuver, you're maneuvering now in this economy, in your personal finances, going to school or looking at this at YouTube, but eventually you have to take the courses to get the credit. So how do I maneuver the same way like businesses? So create a cash flow plan, a budget. Basically, this tells me how much I had cash coming in. I usually know how much I'm coming in. Some extra, that's extra, so that's like a variable. Maybe use that a little bit to have some fun. Oh, I always tell you, don't be always so tight. Enjoy life. Life is short. Even at a younger life, but don't blow it all. Plan for the future. So be like that ant that plans in the future, not like the grasshopper just only has some fun. It's all fair. The tales that when I was growing up, they used to talk to us. Okay, so now budget. Management cash tools, management income and expense. You got to look how much is coming in. You got more money coming in. Try to pay off your higher loans always first, and then your lowest at the end. Forecast financial condition. If you think something's going on, and interest rates are going up, maybe now's a good time to buy. Even you say, George, Dr. George, you say don't spend, but look, interest rates are going up. The Fed's going to do something. The Federal Reserve will be talking about that. If they're going to raise the interest rates to the banks, that means that's what they get it for. They're going to raise it to you, so they're going to raise it to 3%. You right now maybe get it for 2-3% because it almost says 0 or 1, and then it's going to be 5-10%. So maybe now would be a good time to purchase that big item at this thing, and then when the interest rates go on, you'll still be better off because if you would purchase at the long run, hopefully that your education you finish and then you get the next promotion and the economy goes up. Remember, it could also drop down. Those are the risks you're taking. Okay. Okay, you could now, if you, there we go, sorry. You need to establish some goals. Just like if you'd be losing weight, that means you gotta quit eating the Twinkies. I'm a Twinkie eater. I like it. You could tell. But it's okay. Have a Twinkie every once in a while, but not all the time. So you reduce it. Or you love Starbucks, but Starbucks prices are going down, so reduce it. So now you have some extra cash, and that's like everything else. You still have your Starbucks once a week, or maybe twice or 3 times a week. If you're having it 4 or 5 times, cut back on that, and just maybe have the Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, geez, Dunkin' Donuts. I did it in a marketing class. Dunkin' Donuts. There's a company, Geneva, Godiva or something like this, were specially made is the higher end on that. It may not be the Starbucks coffee, but it's still pretty darn close, but at a third of the cost. I'm not trying to sell. I'm trying to do it on a personal finance. Reduce it down until you get your bills and everything else under control. You finish school, and then you could go splurge again. Okay? So establish goals, calculate your need, how much you want to save. Estimate your income, your expenses, contribute to savings. Track the actual 1 month income versus expenses. Sometimes you may have some adjustments. You have to have your car breaks down or something happens, tuition went up or something. No, hopefully not. But so you have to have some adjustments. But then how do I get back myself on track? That's the goal. The goal is the target. The target, sometimes it moves. As close you could get to that target. And that's what you always have to look. Okay, now then you compare actual to the estimate, and then modify your monthly expenses estimates for next month and repeat the process. No different than you'll be doing if you'll be doing a budget for your own department or for your organization. Now, household budgets include what? They include these. You're doing that right now: mortgage or rent, and it's the same thing for a business. Either I'm paying for my property or I'm leasing it. Food or clothing. So I'm looking at income, material coming into my process that I need to get my product out. Vehicles and furniture. I have to have an office. I have to have something to work at. I have to deliver. I have to do something else depending on your business. Insurance needs. I have to cover my employees just like I do my own personal insurance and other expenses like electricity, everything else. Everything you're doing now as a home, businesses are doing maybe a little bit higher, and sometimes maybe even a little bit better pricing depending on how much you use because you'll be utilized a little bit more. Okay, now build the financial base. How do you do that? Live frugally. If married, try to live on one income, put the other aside just in case one loses the income or you utilize both. or if you're working overtime, put it aside. Make sure you be able to live. A lot of people take their overtime, and after a while, they look at it as one income. And when the overtime stops, it's like a reduction, 30-40%, and they've already lived outside the means. So just make sure, could I afford it on the face one? The overtime pays off any of the debt, or pay in cash if you want. That'd be the way to do it. You talk about easier said than done, because you still need some credit. Because credit, as we talk about the 5 C's of credit, character and everything else. Businesses want to make sure that you'll pay back money if you borrowed from them, or if we provide you a loan. Okay, your first major investment should be low price home. I would say most people should be, because you could write off tax and everything else. But I think for most people, first major investment is a car. I'm in high school. I'm just coming out. My first thing is I'll still live in an apartment just well enough. I wanted that car. I wanted a set of wheels. And that means, even though I'm teaching personal finance, let's be realistic here. Even though the reason they say a home or a condominium, because you could write that off as taxes. You have a better tax benefit than a car. Car doesn't depreciate. It does depreciate, but unless it's a Corvette or something that's one of a kind or a limited model, your car will depreciate very fastly. And if you get rust, accident, so that's not your best investment. That's why they went with a home and everything else. But in reality, you want a nice set of car. Okay, buy it for the long term. And when looking for buy for long term, don't live beyond your means. Okay, the 5 rules of frugality is okay. Don't give up what you love. Find inexpensive forms of entertainment. Visit friends. You have Netflix. You have streaming. You have other things, media that you could go. Colleges, community colleges have a lot of activities. Even though you're what they call a metro, an urban type of environment, you're not on the campus living, for lack of a better word. You still could interact with a lot of people. A lot of things goes on in the holla, in the library, my library or learning center, or what do you call it, on campus. There's activities, everything else. Meet friends, go out there, have some fun. You'll find expensive forms of entertainment. A lot of times you can even take a course like golfing or tennis at the college, and get involved in that. Never go shopping without knowing what you're going to bring back or go for. Going to buying, and shop around for good deals. Always look around unless you really need it for emergency. Okay, now the other thing is benefits of buying a home, and that's why they said a home. If I look at benefits of buying a home, let me just make it. Let's go this way. You could see this. I'll go this way so you could see it. Okay, benefits of buying a home. A home is an investment you can live in. Paying for a home is a good way of focusing how to save, because remember, you could buy in the home, in the property of the home, unless big crash happened, like again, hopefully not again, but overall it's a fairly good investment in the long run. Not buy today and tomorrow you want the property to go up. You're looking 5 years, sometimes 10 years, for the value to go up, where you get a good return on your investment. Interest is on your home loan is tax deductible so far. Remember, they're talking, but you have to look in the future, even personal, and even if business finance, they're talking about a flat tax, depending who wins the next election. Flat tax, everyone pays a certain percentage. You pay a low tax, but you have no deduction. So in the long run, you may do all right. So don't, so when you're looking at how much you're paying, because you're looking so much coming off from the taxes, it should work out, but you have to calculate that. Okay, and 3 keys to optimal return on your home are location, location, location. How much can you afford? Chart, and this is what there was in the book, was kind of good. So if your income is $30,000, your monthly payment is $700. At 5%, you could afford a townhome for $106,000. If you're making $50,000, monthly payment is $1,000, almost $1,200, and you could afford a home at $180 at 5%. Remember, interest rates are low at 15%. You see how much your house you could drop 56. I'm thinking find a house with 56. You probably could at a condominium in certain areas. You know what I mean? And look at it this way: if you can't afford it, then you bring in a partner. You know what I mean? You have a lot of laws have changed and everything else. Cohabit, that someone is there living with you. I'm not trying to push go one way. If you're married, there's a benefit. So there's a lot of different things of owning a home, bring somebody else in as a partnership, if you're looking at that from a personal perspective. Okay. Now, if I look at the credit card savings and managing credit cards, you have a contrarian approach, and that basically buying stock when everyone else is selling, vice versa. I mean, managing credit and buying or selling stock. was this the way it was in, remember, I just found launch from a publisher. I don't agree. It is good. Okay. Now you have credit cards. Why do you need credit cards? For lack of better words, we need credit cards. Try to fly in a plane, you have a credit card. Credit card does a lot of things later on we'll be talking about on this other side here when I have 5 C's of credit. How to get the credit card. But here's what the big thing with a credit card. It serves useful purposes. I don't have to carry all the cash. And now I don't even need a credit card because if you're looking at the wall to make the microchip and everything else, my smart card will have the same functionality. So the smartphone will be the whole thing and that'll work off my thumbprint, my eye, whatever. You know what I'm talking about? This is the future. Important to own. You need some if you want to get any kind of because it lets you know, it follows your track record. It lets people know that if you have credit available, you have a good credit score, that you have good character, you know how to manage money, for lack of a better word. Use discriminatory. Try not to just spend it on things you don't need it. Only use it when you want it, but use it so you can buy something and pay off the same thing. You don't have to pay in interest. College students, 50% have more than 4 credit cards. Yeah, and sometimes you have to do what you have to do. You have to pay for the books. You get the car. I'm not trying to say no. You got your federal loan. I'm the same thing. Been there. I'm still paying off student loans. For the federal government. Hopefully things will work out to my benefit. Good inheritance, hopefully. Who knows? Okay, only 17% report. When we're talking personal finance, I could just tie that in. We all have to look at it and different things and have a strategy. Only 17% report paying off their monthly balance each month. I try to pay it off always more. Try to get that credit cards under control when you have it, and now and it works out well. Trust me. If you feel managing credit cards will be too difficult, try using debit cards. Debit cards is like you have the cash or not. Now, debit cards use electronic cards hard to manage for you. Okay, if credit cards are hard to manage for you, use debit card. Advantages of debit cards or credit cards: basically safer, convenient, buy now, emergencies, no cash, track purchases, establish good credit. Disadvantages: excessive debt, tied up future income. If you're using a credit card, right, you want to pay it off. You always say that, but sometimes you forget after a while. Compound interest when we talk about annuities. From a personal standpoint. Okay, missed payments. You miss your payments to raise your rates automatically. It hurts your credit rating. You got a poor credit rating. That means if you want to buy that car, you don't get the 0%. You have to pay a higher rate because you missed your risk. No difference in a business when they're looking at the credit rating from a business. Let's say you're a LLC or S corporation that we talked about. You look at the business, at the credit worthiness. Right now, you are the only owner, you're sole proprietor, so they're looking at your credit score is a reflection of your business credit score. Okay. Now the Credit Card Act. Here's what a lot of times sometimes college students a little bit upset. Credit Card Act of 2009 changed some things. Created new customer credit card protection. It did good. Went into effect. So there's certain things the credit card companies couldn't abuse or change rates or do things that may without any prior notification. New laws allow credit card issues to increase interest rates only for a limited number of reasons. They just couldn't do it arbitrarily because they wanted to. Well, I think I just raise it up, and next thing they got me in for 2%. Next time I'm paying 22%. What happened? So there's a lot. The other thing that they did, and this is controversial. Some under 21 say, "Hey, that's not fair. I could go in the military." Others say, "Hey, that is good. It's not good." Is basically you can't get a credit card unless you're over 21 years old, and that's because a lot of the banks were targeting college students, giving them credit cards. They didn't have any means of repaying their credit card debt unless their parents would pay them off. Sometimes their parents wouldn't pay them off, and what happens? They got poor credit scores, and this affected them even when they got 21 or later. Want to get a car, and they just only messed up that one semester, a couple of semesters, and never used it again. But their credit score already, or they're already did damage to their credit history, and that affected them. Okay. All right. So let's see what else we got. We've got clean credit. How do you do that? Steps to get clean. Steps to keep a good credit score. Always pay your bills on time, and that makes sense. Keep small balance of on multiple cards, so it looks like you know how to use different cards for different events or different promotional activities, which reduces your interest rates. Hopefully, Don't shift balances from one to the other because it looks like you're trying to pay off one to the other. Sometimes it may make sense because you get a lower interest rate, but after a while, if you're going back and forth, usually the credit card is just fairly similar to depending on your credit score on your interest rates. Don't apply for too many cards at once because it looks like you're in dire need for cash. Don't file for a personal bankruptcy if you don't have to. So if you look at your credit score, and here's what the range looks like. This is out of the book. For those who didn't have it, 700 to 850 is excellent credit. 700 to 759 is great credit. 600 to 660 fair, poor. So that's really good. And remember, there's three different credit reporting agency. FICA is one of the larger ones, or one that most your reporting agencies are looking at. Okay, so now the other thing about investment is life insurance. If I look in business, you may call it risk management, and you may have life insurance for the owner. You're a family, you're the father, you're the head of the household, you're someone that someone else depends on you. So if something would happen to you and you'd pass away, that other individual, whoever he or she may be, will have a hard time surviving going forward without your income coming in. So you'd carry life insurance. Now, there's different types of life insurance. You have term life insurance, which they call pure insurance for protection, given for a number of years, goes up as your age, goes up with age. Excuse me. This is pretty good if you're just starting off and you don't have much capital inflow, much income, and you just want to make sure you're protected. It's like car insurance. As long as you don't have an accident, you're still paying, but if it happens, it's well worth the investment. The other one is whole life insurance. Combines pure insurance with savings, so you buy both insurance and a small savings plan. I did that with my kids. I got a whole life, so much in case something would happen to them, God forbid, that I could at least give them a proper burial. But then when they reached a certain age, 18, after 18, they become theirs automatically. Just the way most life insurance or whole life are set up for a minor. What I did, I cashed it out before they're 18, and I brought them a car with the money on that. So it works like a savings, even though you could, they would tell you you're better off instead of getting a whole life is invest into an investment. You get a better return on your investment. But this is kind of like an easy, nice way of, you don't get much, but it serves a lot of purposes for me, and it just was automatically deductible, so it worked out well in the long run. Remember, I wasn't looking at that much of a return on investment, as some return on investment is better than no return on investment, but more for the protection something would happen, and outline they still got a new car. I didn't have to use it for the initial intent that I purchased a whole life over. The other one they have is variable insurance. And variable insurance is a form of whole life insurance and invest cash value of policy in stocks or other high yielding securities, various and different investments, similar to like a mutual fund. Now let's look at annuities. Annuity is compound interest that you would see in the charge card. You buy something, even though you're not buying any more, every month there's like 6% on that. Even if you're paying the minimum amount, it may just take care of the interest amount or something off the principal. But if you miss a payment, that payment is added into it, and it keeps on compounding and gets larger. So annuity is compound interest on it. Like a credit card, only in reverse. For me, I buy certain stocks or I buy annuities or certain investments that have a compound return or bonds would be one of them when we talk about different investments, and we talk a little bit more. But right now, this is some looking at annuity or 401 or IRA account, something they talked about here. Okay, so we have fixed annuities or investments that are paid the policyholder a specific interest rate at a certain time. You have variable annuities. It provides investment choice to identical to mutual funds. Depends what's happening with the investment. Sometimes I'm making more money, sometimes I'm less. It gives me the average return on the investment, and that's what I'm being paid up. So it's a variable annuities. And again, you could talk to your insurance companies, you could talk to your finance, your broker, a lot of times even your A lot of companies will have different options that will help you with different investment options with annuities. Okay, other types of insurance that we talked about is homeowners insurance. And look, homeowners insurance, a lot of people they rent. They take if something happens, sure, they'll take care of the floors, the walls, the appliances, which doesn't belong to you anyway, but they do not take care of your personal possession. For the lousy $120, divide that $10 a month, for lack of a better word, you are protected for your computer, your smartphone, your iPhone, everything else that happens if you get stolen, ripped off. You have people that you have somebody else that's sharing your apartment with you, and they have some friends that are not of the best caliber, and they come in and rip you off. You're protected. It's well worth the investment. So homeowners insurance covers the cost of things that you own, and from a personal perspective, you should do it. If you own a townhouse and everything else, a little bit different. You have a lot of your has townhouses insured for the structure, for lack of better words, and then you have personal items insured also underneath your condominium or homeowners insurance. Okay, disability insurance. When I used to work construction, yes, I used to work construction. When I used to work construction, if something would happen to me, I couldn't do my job, so I would have disability insurance in case I would break a leg. It doesn't have to be at work. It could be I'll be golfing or golf or skiing or doing something, and I hurt myself. Now I can't. I used to repair power lines for combat, and I can't climb and do that type of work. So you'd have to carry disability insurance until I got better. Okay, umbrella policy is combining all your insurances, less costly health. It's almost like bundling everything else together. Sometimes you get a good deal, sometimes you don't. You should get different discounts if you utilize the same, but you have all your eggs in one basket. So if you're upset with something else, I've done that with, I forgot who it was, Country Mutual, and all of a sudden my daughter got in an accident, they raised my rate, told me I couldn't have anything. I had life insurance, I had too much bundled. I unbundled everything, and now I just do for which is the best policy, and just my own personal, I think that was a wrong way of going, but that was their policy, and so you just move along, right? That's part of business. Okay. Now, health. You have healthcare laws have changed. You have to have the insurance for certain things where healthcare money goes. If I'm looking at this, hospital care 31%, physician 21%, medicine 10%, administration 7%, nursing home 6%, and other 25%. I don't know what the other is about, but here, what to know about healthcare savings accounts. Your employer is likely to offer healthcare savings options. The plan can be costly, but withdrawal for medical bills is free and tax-free. They're not for everyone. Healthcare savings accounts can double as retirement accounts, and it depends. It's money put away in case when you need it. Okay. Okay, now you got auto insurance, you got liability deductible. Remember, the higher the deductible, the less the payment. But if you get an accident, a little scratch and that's $3,500 you want. So if you got $2,000 deductible, your car if it's worth $60,000, okay, they may be worth it. But that's $2,000 you got to come out of your pocket. So sometimes you got to look at the differential cost of if I got $1,000, how much more a month? This is equate to $1,000, and sometimes I may not have $1,000, so I may want to pay the higher insurance rate on that now. You pay it now or you pay it later, or you be driving around in your car with a raggedy fender. That doesn't look cool. And that's not a good effective use of your resources. If you're a business and your cars are all beat up, everything else doesn't look quality, it kind of gives your business kind of a tarnish, just like it gives your own your personal thing kind of a tarnish view from the public. Okay, now public, you have unemployment insurance, you have workman's comp, you have Social Security, you have Medicare. So let's talk about Social Security. The program established Social Security Act 1935. I had 33 before. I made an error if you had a previous version. Paid workers, currently wages in the market. You pay, it was part of the insurance costs. You pay the government to take care of me when I retire. As all workers, all benefits are paid through Social Security taxes. Funds expected to be hard pressed because of a growing number of older adults. Old age survivor disability. As the baby boomers are getting older, we didn't have as many kids. My mom had 8 of us. Now most people only have 1 or 2 kids, and it's a lot. You know what I mean? I had 3, but now people are having fewer and fewer kids. So if you have fewer and fewer kids, unless they're making more money, they're taxed. They're helping out. I think it's like in a National Security is a governmental Ponzi scheme. The younger pay for the older, but if you don't have any more coming into the system, someone's going to be, taxes are going to go up, something's going to happen. Okay, IRAs are basically individual retirement accounts. And you have tax deferred investment plans. Enables a person to save part of their income for retirement. So you're not taxed now, you're taxed later. Tax deferred contribution which you pay no current taxes now. So they take the money out, so your tax is lower, you're making more money now. And figuring when you're older, 65 or 75 or 95, whatever the law is going to be when you'll be able to retire to collect Social Security. If there is be a Social Security or a governmental retirement plan, which most likely will be something out there, you already got all your bills paid. You're not making as much, so you're not being taxed as much because your income is smaller. So when you're taking the money now, you have a less tax burden than you do when you're making more money and you have all these other activities because you're young and you're still in the workforce and it's part of your expenses. Okay. Okay, now Roth IRA, you have the other option. Instead of waiting for taxes, you tax the money now and you put it in retirement. So when you take it out, when you retire, because you figure you're going to be very wealthy anyway, that money's not taxed because you already paid it at a lower tax rate here. Hopefully, unless they did some kind of a tax rate. Earnings grow tax-free and are tax-free when they are withdrawn. My IRA is this new version of a Roth IRA retirement savings plan for low and middle income individuals. You got a little more flexibility. Okay, 401k is an employer sponsored savings plan. And remember, a lot of times employers will offer something because they want to motivate you to stay with them, and it could be a reward. It could be part of the benefit package. Why you wouldn't leave from one employer? Because remember, it costs you an employer leave. Not if I'm firing you. I really want you out of there because you're a terrible employee to finish you. But if you're a good employer, and I don't want you to go to my competitor, go someplace else. I train you, you do well. Everyone else likes working with you. You're overall an excellent employee. I will give you, forget the union, or even if the union's in there, I want to maintain you so you don't leave, and so I give you benefits. So some of the benefits would be I'll give you a 401 plan, allows you to deposit a set amount of pre-tax dollars and collect compound earning interest tax-free until withdrawal. So you're making interest on that until you withdraw, depending on your income scale at that time. Benefits, contribution reduce your present taxable income. Taxes deferred on the earnings. Many employers will match your contribution. It's a win-win. Okay, now the Kellogg Plan allows self-employed individuals. If you're self-employed entrepreneur, you are small business owner, you are the president or the owner of that business, to establish your own retirement plans. Kellogg plans are like IRAs for entrepreneurs. Kellogg plans can be withdrawn as a large lump sum because your money coming in, or spread out as an annuity. A lot of people do it as an annuity. You have a fixed income and you're used to that income and you do pretty good. Okay? Now, planning for your estates, start with insurance beneficiary. Remember, you don't have to put that in the will or have an executive. Whoever the beneficiary, when you pass away, let them know you got the insurance, and then they'll pay the beneficiary. No one else can touch it. That's who you designated beneficiary. Now, a will is after you're passed away, and a document that names a guardian for minor children, states how you want your assets distributed. Let me put it here so it flows. Okay, and names the executor of your estate. If you don't have an executive, there are banks or there's attorneys or there's legal firms that will basically be an executor for a fee. Because remember, executor should be getting 10% of the of the will's asset. I didn't do it when my mom passed away, but legally I should have got 10% of the assets first, cut off for doing the executive portion. Okay, now the executor is a person who assembles and values the assets, files income tax and other taxes for the individual, and distributes the assets. Okay. Now, 5 C's of good credit is character. Type of person, tracker record, credit history. That's what a credit card and you're paying on time does. Capacity, how much borrow safely, how much of your own money and cushion you provide. So if you have several credit cards, you're now maxed out at each one because you look at one, you have maybe 20% out of all the credit you have available. You're good credit risk. You've got the money if you wanted to say, hey, we'll give you a better rate. Because if you wanted to, you could borrow more money, but you don't, so they're going to go because you're not out there just spending unwisely. Okay? And capital is basically what you have as a collateral, for lack of a better word. What are economic condition depends on the credit. How if they're opening up, they're opening up a bit more. You're looking at your employment condition. How long you've been employed is a good indicator that you have a steady cash flow coming in to pay the debt that you have taken. And what's your collateral assets to back it up? Do you need any? And when is harder time to get credit? I think it's kind of changing, but it's still out there. Just to be aware of that. Okay, investment. If you got a good high credit score, they'll give you credit out there. It's just something you out there mentioned, so I just try to throw it out there. There's still that kind of glass ceiling, a lot of stuff. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Just be aware of it. It's got a little bit more vigilant and more. Forceful sometimes to make sure you get the credit and not being taken advantage of. Okay, start early. And basically, emergency fund, get insurance, reduce the debt, diversify regularly, and hold off on luxury items. And if I look at the investment pyramid, is risk and gains. Federal. Here, look at this. It's a federally insured corporation, insures cash and bonds, make sure it's insured by the federal government. You have high grade. Stocks or municipal bonds or fixed variable annuities. They go in this order, more secure, may not pay out as much as return on your investment interest, but they're safer. Municipal bonds, you look at it, Chicago's going down to junk bonds, but they're still kind of fairly safe. There's a lot I could sell, I guess. Balance, blue chip, growth, mutual funds, and income. You should have a balance your portfolio, some solid, some a little bit riskier, so you get a little bit higher in return. Remember, it's an average when you look at your return. When we go into finance, we talk about yield, everything that costs me, my insurance, everything else to make that happen, even my time to register or get the money out. That's all part of my yield, and how much did I make at the end is my return on investment. The growth, stocks, mutual funds, income mutuals, international bonds are good ones. A lot of times right now we're not paying much here, so a lot of even U.S. investors are investing overseas. If the Federal Reserve raises the rates, it costs me more, but more people invest in here because our bonds and our treasury notes will be worth more to them in investment. Right? To get more, we'd have to pay a higher interest rate. Okay, collectible. Speculative stocks, junk bonds, always a risk, and future commodities. Okay, I think we've covered everything we wanted to do on your personal finance. And look, this is, I tied in this chapter. I tied in your personal, and I tied in your, your business. Because sometimes I'll cover this chapter, the personal finance and the corporate together as two courses, but taught at the same time. First 2 hours is personal, second 2 hours would be corporate or financial. And what would normally happen, I'm stuttering here trying to do, remember you can't do more than one thing. What I would normally do is when I talk about stocks, I go, here's you buy stocks as an individual stockholder, and here's what happens as a company issuing stocks to stockholders as to get income coming in. Okay, so everything makes sense. So now you have everything you've learned. We've covered today. We're almost at the end of the chapter. If you're taking this, we have like the end is now as we're talking about. We're going to be starting going in. We're starting out with our personal finances. You have a good solid foundation. Hey, I'm already doing this now. I understand this. I have a good mindset when I go into my corporate finances. When we start talking about budgets and banking and investments and how companies issue stocks and why they do an initial public offering. All that is not scary because you now understand it from a personal thing, and now in business it's the same item. I'm already doing it now, more in the numbers, and we just call the same transactions or the same event something different because it has a little different meaning. Contractually it means a little bit differently, but overall it still has the same basis that you're doing now, and investing and buying and taking charge, getting credit cards or buying a house or a car, investing, and income coming in and expenses, everything else that a business would have. Whew. We've done it. Okay, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and remember, this is Chapter D, or Chapter 24, and understanding personal finance as a step to understanding business finance, which we'll be covering the last 4 chapters, and we're almost done with this. And you have to understand this and have some of these concepts within your feasibility paper that you're writing for me. You're taking me at a community college, either an online class or face-to-face class. I teach at 2 colleges, both one in Lake County, one in Northern Cook County. So look me up. It helps me pay off my student loans. And I'll see you. I think the next chapter we'll be doing is chapter 17, if I'm mistaken, and that's going to be accounting. And remember, I'm just going to give you a good overview of accounting. I'll talk to you later, and I enjoy talking to you in the forums or in the lectures in my class. Bye.